I'm not going to be the simp, nice guy, fix-it Felix anymore.
Young Filipino women have not, this is going to sound gross, but they haven't burned out their ovaries with birth control.
I'm a grandiose narcissist who had a dream, and she
may not love me, she may not want me, but she needs me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a closer look into the life of a passport bro. Since one recently outed himself on TikTok and documented his entire crash out response to his Filipino wife wanting to separate, so passport bro describes men who are usually from the United States who look for relationships with women abroad, often from countries in Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. These can be men looking for long-term relationships or just men looking to F around. Both of those groups having a commonality of being fed up with modern dating culture in the West. They believe modern dating has become too focused on wealth and status. They say that American women have too high of standards for men, are too independent, and are not falling into traditional gender roles. There are also some men who take advantage of the fact that just being an average white guy from America makes you desirable in other countries. To give you an idea of things that they actually say, I snooped around the subreddit r/thepassportbros, and here are some of the recent posts. Where do girls most like American guys? All else being equal, which country or countries do the women fawn over most Americans? Obviously, I'm aware that it is largely based off looks, charm, etc., but where would one stack the deck in his favor? One commenter writes, I have done a good bit of romance shopping internationally and I spent a year in the Philippines. They seem to genuinely like American men for their size, which size of what? Their whiteness, and the money is attractive as well. I haven't spent any time in Latin America, so I can't say with authority, but I would say that the money motivation is the biggest attraction to American men in those countries. This post being about how you should be afraid of bringing your rated 5 to 6 on looks Southeast Asian woman to the West because they're an 8 to 9 there and other men will be eyeing them. And this commenter said in response, I live in the Philippines. There is a higher percentage of physically attractive women in the West. It's just that the women in the Philippines are easier and more pleasant. And there's even more comments where that came from. This post essentially created a whole thread of generalizing and comparing the looks of women from different countries. This person writes, I am completely invisible to girls in the United States. In my 29 years of living on this planet, not a single woman from the USA has ever shown a romantic interest in me, not even one. I have never felt so lonely, so worthless, and so invisible when I tried to find a girlfriend in America. During the pandemic, I tried my luck with girls in the Philippines, and for the first time in my entire life, women showed an interest in me. And when you've been deprived of that your entire life, it feels great. It feels wonderful. I hate dating here. I really want to leave. A commenter responded saying, America is cooked. You'll be hard pressed to find a nation with more narcissistic women and a system that props up their narcissism, tells them they're perfect and infallible, and practically never wrong. Countries like Russia have some pretty cold women too, but at least they're not straight out delusional. Get your dollars and get out. And I'm just gonna leave this next post here. I'm not gonna read it, but this was literally the first post I saw when I looked at this subreddit. Not really a good first impression to the community that they're so-called building here. And before someone comes at me with a not all passport bros, okay, to be fair, not every single person in the subreddit seems flat out misogynistic and sexist. There are some people in the comments that defend against objectifying women and cultural insensitivity, but heavy on there are some of them. And I mean, let's be real, the general thought process and beliefs of a passport bro have extremely misogynistic and sexist tones. The rhetoric behind passport bros often reduce women to stereotypes, whether it's vilifying American and westernized women or idealizing these women abroad as some perfect, submissive, traditional housewives. Many are exploiting economic disparities of these women in other countries and knowingly creating unequal relationship dynamics. They take advantage of cultural differences like divorce not being accepted in other countries as a way to keep their partners with them. It all feels very predatory, and while passport bros may not explicitly identify as sex tourists and claim that their aim is to find romantic long-term relationships, their actions can resemble or even just overlap with sex tourism, which raises huge ethical concerns, and all my red flag alarms are going off. So speaking of red flags, let's get back to Chad2Dad on TikTok. His real name is Kent Roller, but I'll be referring to him by his username just to keep things more clear. To set the scene, he's a self-proclaimed passport bro. He's 59 and his wife is 28. He's American and his wife is Filipina.
Well, it didn't take long. It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife to become fully Americanized, hate everything about me and what I provide, and decide to leave. Welcome to the shittiest post that I'm ever gonna make.
Sounds a bit dramatic. Well, that's because he is. This man is literally the most dramatic guy I've seen in a while. He shares that he and his wife Jayanne, their 2 kids, and his wife's family went on a Disney World trip and everything just fell apart. He makes it a point to say that the trip was funded by him, which we'll get into the details of that later. After they got back from the trip, she told him that she wanted to separate. He found out through her phone that she was texting her family about it and that she wanted to take their kids to the Philippines.
That's heavy, right? That's a nuke. And I'm gonna go into my bunker. So I came downstairs in my nice 4-story mansion and just stayed by myself through Christmas Eve and through Christmas Day. And I missed Christmas with my children. My in-laws, my mother and my father-in-law, and Jayanne, they proceeded to open the presents without me. Presents all of which I bought.
Honestly, dude, did you expect them to delay Christmas for your children just because you and your wife aren't on good terms? And nothing was preventing him from being there. He could have been there, but he was just protesting in his basement by himself. He's thinking more about his sad Christmas versus the Christmas experience of his kids. So he continues ranting about how his wife Jayanne has the total backing and validation from her parents and people on TikTok. So now his feelings are not relevant, and woe is him for being isolated, yet it seems like he's also the one that chose to isolate himself.
I am done being Mr. Fix-It. Fix-It Felix. I'm not going to be the simp, nice guy, Fix-It Felix anymore. A relationship takes 2 people. She made the decision for the separation. She's made the announcement and made plans with family to take our children back to the Philippines. And she's an adult. She has accountability. It's on her to come to me and explain to me what her plan is, such that it is, and what can be done about it.
Yeah, he really used the term simp nice guy in his rant. Some comments on this video read, "So you essentially bought a wife half your age and are now mad that you can't control her anymore. You focus on how much money you have, your big house, and what you provide financially. You can't buy love. Hard lesson to learn. Become a more loving and kind person. I hate the I provide and she's ungrateful card. So you can treat me however you want because you pay a bill. My dad said the same thing about my mom. I did this for her, I bought this for her, etc. But he was an awful partner. Just because you paid for things doesn't mean you gave her what she really needed." A couple days later, he makes another video saying that he and Jayanne still haven't spoken and he saw his kids again after 1 week apart. He bought the McDonald's and watched a movie with them.
After they wolfed down the more fries, Rocky said, "Up, up," which means she wanted to get down from the stool. And then she took my hand and she led me to the living room where we have a big movie screen, and she jumped up on the lazy boy and Race joined us munching on more nuggets, and I put on Monsters, Inc. and we watched a movie.
He appears very emotional in the video with his eyes watering, but there are no tears. To me, it's all giving emotional manipulation, like he really thought people would comfort him and he wanted Jayanne to see him emotional in the videos and feel sorry for him.
So I carried him up and I put him down against Jayanne's back and I left them together so they could sleep, and I came back downstairs.
He even says in the same video that he intentionally didn't come up for Christmas with the kids because he wanted everyone to feel what the separation was gonna be like, as if he's trying to teach Jayanne a lesson. In another video, he says that Jayanne is the one not being transparent and honest because she was texting her family behind his back.
We've gotten to this point because there's been a little bit of dishonesty from Jayanne in the form of texting with her family and people behind my back, discussing things that she really should have just come to me with first. That was our agreement from the beginning of our relationship. We've struggled with it, and that deal was broken, and so I'm not talking to anybody behind her back. I'm talking about our problem to the world.
What world are we living in that it's more okay to post your relationship issues online versus talking to your own family about it? I mean, I'm here for the tea. If you're gonna expose yourself, then sure, it makes for a good story and content. But like, this is wild if he really thinks what he's doing is bettering their relationship. The comments on this one did not disappoint, saying, he's losing control, Lamau. She should have the freedom to communicate with her family. You can't isolate her. Who needs permission to talk to family? So before we dive into Jayan's response and her side to all of this madness, some more background on Chad2Dad is that he made a video explaining the reasons he chose to look for a wife in the Philippines.
There's no birth control in the Philippines. Young Filipino women have not, this is going to sound gross, but they haven't burned out their ovaries with birth control. It's not a thing there. The whole taking care of their bodies is a lot more prevalent in the Philippines. They don't even use tampons there, you know, it's only napkins.
He also notes that only recently in the past year has the Philippines started taking steps to legalize divorce. So the mindset of an average Filipina is that you're in the relationship until the end and divorce is not a consideration.
Oh yeah, here was my last point. It's about divorce itself. Only recently this year, the legislature in the Philippines legalized divorce. Up till now, divorce has not been legal in the Philippines. So right now, the attitude and mindset of your average Filipina is that you're in it to win it. You're in it till the end. The divorce is not a consideration. It's at least not a game plan. It's not a retirement plan for the woman. And you're most likely to get through the hard times knowing that your wife, my Filipino wife, isn't thinking of nuking it all with a divorce. It's just not part of their thinking. In the upcoming generations of young Filipino women, that may factor in, but that's just part of the westernization of a lot of countries. So that's the last reason, is that divorce is not an option. Especially if you have children.
Which, okay, sure, I understand wanting to be with someone who is really gonna give a relationship their all and not rush to divorce at any inconvenience or disagreements, but it feels very predatory to want to be with someone because they've been conditioned in their society that divorce is simply not an option, no matter how unhappy you are, no matter if you're being mistreated or abused. Hey guys, editing Justine here because I realized that it's also super hypocritical for him to say that he doesn't want his wife to see divorce as an option when he has literally gotten a divorce himself. Like, so much for sticking it through the hard times. So basically he can decide when it's appropriate to get a divorce and separate, but not her. It is an option for him that he has used in the past, but not her. The way I think about it is, wouldn't you want someone who wants to fight through tough times with you because they believe in your relationship together versus someone who is just gonna stick with it because they just don't think divorce is even an option at all? You can know that divorce is an option and still not want to get a divorce. So now on to Jayan's side of the story. She makes a video sharing a lot.
He disrespected my parents, screaming, snatching some things verbally and physically. So what I am thinking that time, you are freely disrespecting me and abusing me. I think that's enough. You can do it 24/7 to me. You can do it anytime, but to the point that you're gonna be disrespecting my people, especially my parents. I think that's what, draw the line. I think that's when the time that I said I want to separate.
So basically, Jayan is setting boundaries and standing up for herself and her family. Nothing crazy there. She keeps it kind of vague with what he actually did to disrespect her family, but he will expose himself in a future video that we'll get to.
He claims that I hated what he provides. As far as I remember, I'm always grateful for him. I'm always vocal, thanking him for my life right now. You can see my social media. I never criticizes him. It's always praising, even though there's something going on inside our house. I will never speak or talk about our fights on our on my social media, it's because I am protecting him and I'm protecting my children.
Girly is standing up for herself. And to be clear about who funded the Disney World trip, she does say that half of it was actually funded by the ex-wife, which I have mixed feelings about the ex-wife, which we'll get into when we dive into Chad2Dad's background. But Jayan says that she actually has a great relationship with the ex-wife and says that she's a good person.
I am really homesick. I've been here for 2 years. He promised me that we're gonna go back to the Philippines at least once or twice a year, but that never happened. And so I kept on telling him that I need to go back. It's because we have activities.
So Jayan has been in the United States for 2 years, and Chad2Dad had promised her that they would go back to the Philippines at least once or twice a year when she first moved. So then she goes over that she wanted to go back because her older sister is getting married and she's the maid of honor, and she wants her kids to be christened, and she wanted to spend Christmas with her whole family. And then she drops this tea.
Fast forward to the booking day, I already booked going back to the Philippines, and then that same day he canceled it too. It's because he said that I'm ungrateful. It's because I didn't say thank you right away. It's because at that time I got excited. It's because the ex-wife said that she's gonna come. Same day, the same exact day when he booked it, he canceled it right away. And you know, I don't have any choice. It's because I don't have money. I don't have any control.
So bro had booked her flight to the Philippines and then canceled it the same day because she was ungrateful because she didn't thank him right away. And she doesn't have a choice in any of this because she doesn't have any of her own money, which already sounds like financial abuse to me, but the red flags will continue to show themselves. She felt really bad for her family because they came all the way from the Philippines hoping to have a fun family vacation, but instead they got disrespected. In the end, she breaks down crying and is speaking in Tagalog. Translated, she's saying that she's really sad because she can tell in her parents' faces how hurt they were that Chad2Dad was disrespecting them, but they just didn't say anything. So then Chad2Dad continues to spiral, posting this bombshell on New Year's Eve.
Welcome to the top floor of my 4-story mansion in Honolulu, Hawaii on New Year's Eve 2025. And you know why I know that my Americanized Filipino wife is not gonna leave me? She's pregnant. She may not love me, she may not want me, but she needs me.
What did he say?
She may not love me, she may not want me, but she needs me. And that's what love is based on. Need. Don't kid yourselves. Okay? Let's enjoy this New Year's Eve.
He really said she may not love him or want him, but she needs him because she's now pregnant. That is just so icky. And the unhinged New Year posts don't end after that. He then goes on in another video to call his wife a, quote, Filipino that I imported because I was a passport bro. He's yelling over the sound of the fireworks in the background that she is now 5 weeks pregnant. And now he's stepping up as a dad, a husband, a family man.
I've been separated from my wife, Filipino that I imported because I was a passport bro. We have 2 children. They're my children. Don't question the DNA. Jayan is pregnant. Oh, you know what? Fuck it all. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a family man. I'm stepping it up. I'm stepping it up to be there in the most crucial way that she needs it most. After I dissed her family, cut her off.
I also caught that he yells out that his legacy is set with his 3 children.
3 children? My legacy is set.
Which I personally feel like is a bit of an ick when a guy really wants to be a biological dad and his reason is just that he wants to continue his legacy. By this time, his videos have been gaining a lot of traction and people are criticizing him for his attitude around this entire thing. Essentially, he's insinuating that his Filipino wife being Americanized or Westernized is this horrible thing when it's really just her showing signs of sticking up for herself and her family. So he responds to those types of comments with this.
In America, if a woman, if a wife, even a girlfriend, is not happy in the relationship, all she has to say to the world on social media, and especially to the government, I'm not happy. And if she drops the word abused or anything along those lines, the American system steps in it steps in to protect her against any for any allegations that she makes. And the man's side of the story is, it's all assumed. I'm an evil, controlling, patriarchal, oppressive white dude. And the narrative quickly, instantly becomes me bad, she victim. And all you dudes out there who have been through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Americanized means weaponization of the male-female relationship to benefit the female, because family court is not a judicial system, it's a corporation. For profit, digging into the pockets of dads, of men.
And then he goes on to say that Jayan's been Americanized, not because she's materialistic or greedy, but because she knows the support that she will get if things get ugly between them. Which I feel like is very telling, because although he tries to say in all of his videos that despite the transactional aspects of their relationship, there is real love between the two of them, it doesn't really feel like it if he's now getting upset that Jayan has become aware of the support and power that she has on her own. It's one thing to be like, yeah, I give her money and she gives me kids and companionship and it's a fair deal. We're all aware of our roles in this and we're all consenting to our roles in this and are happy. It's another thing to have these roles and then put Jayan in a position where she doesn't know the extent of her options and is not treated like an equal partner. He's exerted his financial power over her, and her becoming westernized and being aware of her own independence in this is a threat to him. He has made it so that her only choice is to stay. And I feel like if you are so worried that someone will leave you just because they have a support system in place to enable them to do so safely, then did you really think you guys ever really loved each other? You shouldn't have to metaphorically handcuff your partner via financial abuse for them to stay with you. It's like he knows the only thing he provides in their relationship is money.
I'm the guy who is separated from his Americanized Filipino wife. Yeah, I'm Chad2Dad. I'm a grandiose narcissist who had a dream, and it was to turn my life around and not be stacking bodies, and I wanted to be a dad. You know, it happened late in life because I was married for a very long time prior to that, and it didn't happen. So, you know, go do your digging and you'll meet my ex-wife and you'll get all the drama.
First off, bro really called himself a narcissist and used the term stacking bodies. Basically, in that video, he just responds to haters saying that he and Jayan are still figuring things out, the hate isn't gonna change anything, and the narratives people are creating are false. And being transparent online is actually helping their relationship. And in this whole mess, Chad2Dad actually reveals what he did to disrespect his in-laws. But keep in mind, he only shares what are the quote top 5 things, insinuating, of course, that there's even more stuff, which honestly makes sense that there's even more because some of these things still feel like they're lacking a lot of context.
The 5 things that I did to disrespect my Filipino in-laws. Now, I qualify Filipino because different cultures get disrespected in different ways. So don't come at me for being a racist. Number 1, I did not eat the food that they cooked. It wasn't because I didn't like it, and it wasn't because I wasn't hungry. It's because I protested.
So originally, I was guessing that this was during his time hiding out in his 4-story mansion's basement after the trip, but then he says that his second thing is that his in-laws left the food out while they were at the Disney parks.
And then number 2, when they left the food out on the table, that stayed out all day, when we came back from one of the Disney World days, I called them slobs for leaving the food out.
Bro, what? If you are so bothered by food being left out, you could have put it away yourself. Also, why the immediate name calling? It's so entitled. Like, your in-laws cooked food for you, even though you guys aren't on good terms. They did not have to do that. He is just being so petty.
Number 3, I clapped sarcastically when Mama finally stepped in and helped Jayan by bathing the kids after a long day. I clapped loud and long and sarcastically.
My question for this one is, what are you doing during this time? He's like clapping sarcastically like, oh, she's finally helping. But why do you even have free hands to clap right now? Why aren't your hands busy bathing your kids? Your kids.
Number 4, I snatched the keys out of Papa's hands. He spent his morning loading the car up, getting ready to go back to Georgia, and he went to hand the keys to me, and I just snatched them out of his hand and went down to start the car. And number 5, I told Ate You too. When she said that I was being a bad host. All right, that's the facts. That's the truth. Those are the top 5 things that I did to disrespect my Filipino mother and father-in-law and my sister-in-law.
Why is this man so pressed? How did we get to snatching things and cursing? And I'm also confused because I feel like there's still context missing unless he's really just pissed off for no reason at all times, anytime, just because Jayanne is close to her family. Like, what did her dad even do to you? It sounds like he was being extremely helpful packing up the car. I just can't, you guys. I just can't. So Jayanne comes forward with an update on the situation. She starts off by saying that she and the kids are safe, and then she says she's not going to be setting up a GoFundMe or any donation situation, and that she has the mindset of if you can work things out, just work things out. So Girly is not going to be separating from Passport Bro. Obviously, this is not what me or the general public watching this thinks she should do, but I'm also not going to shame her for staying with him since it's a tough situation. Jayanne says that they talked and they came up with some resolutions and conditions.
Now that I am 6 weeks pregnant, I am going back to the Philippines on my 2nd trimester. I know it's not a good idea for me to go back to the Philippines because something might happen, but for me it's really important for me to go back. It's because this is also one of our problems, one of the root of our problems, that me longing to my home country and him thinking that I don't like to be in here. So we're just resolving little by little. I just wanted to clarify too that I am not getting any allowance and I don't have credit card. So everything that I am purchasing, I have to ask permission, and this needs to be discussed. So if you want something, we're gonna discuss it. This is how our marriage works. Honestly, I'm not the typical Filipina that's sending money to support my family back home, and I cannot send any money because I don't have it, first of all. And also, my family have a business in Manila. We have businesses there. Our parents send us to a nice school growing up, so basically we have the money growing up. And I honestly have to say this, that I have eaten really great restaurants back home than here because it's really expensive here. Anyway, just wanted to say thank you everybody.
So she has no access to money at all. She doesn't even have a credit card for their family expenses. So everything that she needs or wants, they have to discuss first. With her bringing up her family's business and growing up middle class, it sounds like she's trying to clarify this is not a situation of him bringing her here from extreme poverty. But regardless of how fine her life was in the Philippines, Chad2Dad is still using his financial power against her now. I mean, he literally booked her flight home and then canceled it on the same day because he got mad at her for being ungrateful. Although her family is middle class in the Philippines, she has no money in America. She has no means of leaving the country and going back to the Philippines without him. So people pointed out to her that that is definitely not right and started encouraging her to start making money and saving money to protect herself. Chad2Dad then makes a video in response to this and says that he's embarrassed because it's true.
Now, I saw my wife post on TikTok yesterday, I think it was, that she has to ask permission to get money. Yeah, actually that's true. And when I thought about it, I realized that was pretty embarrassing. It's not like I spend a lot of money on myself. I don't go drinking with the boys or golfing or play video games, stuff like that. See, my philosophy is the money that I earn is the family's money. There's no mine and all that.
So he says his philosophy is that the money he earns is the family's money, but that doesn't really make sense, because shouldn't the partner that you've created this family with get an equal say in how the family's money is spent?
You know, what she said was pretty triggering. So I want to tell you something. I've come up with a plan. And the plan is for Jayanne to earn the money that she wants. And how are we going to do that? She started a business. She started a business as a landlord. That way, she can file taxes and contribute to Social Security. She needs to do that anyway to become a U.S. citizen and learn responsibility with money. The construction that I'm doing down here, she's going to have to pay for that out of the first couple, 3, 4, 6 months of the rent. And any maintenance and support that I give her, she got to pay me like a handyman and learn responsibility with money by running a business, profit, loss, everything else.
What really gets me from this is he's saying that, oh, it's going to be such a great learning opportunity for her, and oh, I have this great idea and great plans. Why are you generating lesson plans for your partner? It feels kind of condescending. It's like giving her freedom, but it's not really freedom because he's still in control of everything.
Early on in our marriage, after about a year, I just stopped giving her money because I was getting pissed off at the waste, right? And another thing is, I don't feel like a wife should get paid to be a mom, right? You're both contributing to the family with your sweat equity. I do sweat equity as well as cash. And a mom taking care of kids, being a stay-at-home mom, that's her investment in the family. I don't think you should get paid to be a mom. So I don't know if this will work, but I think I found a way for Jan to generate the income that she wants, contribute to her citizenship, and earn the money that she has so that she can be more responsible for it.
He says both partners are contributing their sweat equity, and he contributes sweat equity along with cash, whereas the mom taking care of kids at home is just the mom's investment into the family. Why is it that a mom being a stay-at-home mom is just her investment into the family, and you contributing cash from your job is treated as something extra? There's nothing wrong with having a stay-at-home mom and working dad dynamic if both parties agree to it, but you're still equal partners contributing to your family. The money that you make from your job is still, as he literally says himself, the family's money. And to say that your wife should not have any access to that family money is so contradictory. And so if you weren't convinced before, there's definitely financial abuse in play here. And I'm happy to see that a lot of comments agreed, saying when the person who makes the money is the only person that controls the money and makes rules about the money, it's called financial abuse. She's an adult, not your child. You are describing coercive control. I think he should look up the cost of daycare a week, how much a chef costs, and a house cleaner costs. If it's the family money, she should have access to it as well. Her name should be on the accounts. If it's the family money, she should not have to ask for permission. And there's even more tea on this guy. This creator named Erica dug deeper and checked out his public Facebook profile and his personal website, where he included pretty much his entire lore and backstory about his previous marriage and his other kid. Yes, he has another kid. He's also made literal TikToks telling these stories, so it's not like we're divulging in super private information. It was not hard to find this. He made it public himself. So yes, he has another kid with a Vietnamese woman who was married to someone else, presumably another passport bro, and then left to go back to Vietnam and took her son. And he had that son with that woman while he was still technically married with his now ex-wife Mel. Mel was apparently totally fine with this since she couldn't have kids herself due to her breast cancer treatments. They agreed that he would have kids with someone else since that was his dream and that she wouldn't lose her ownership in their shared IT business. In a long Facebook post describing the situation, he says about his ex-wife, Melanie is as distressed as I am. She too invested a year of acceptance, support, time, and money. Mel held Rock's mother during childbirth, crying with joy as Rock emerged. It was like Mel having the child she never could, which honestly gave me the ick. Like, I know Jayan said that Melanie, the ex-wife, is a good person and everything, but this is weird energy. It's giving Handmaid's Tale, where the wife pretends to give birth when the handmaid is actually giving birth, and then they act like the kid is like the wife's kid. It's just weird, you guys, and the ex-wife is still very close to Chad2Dad and works with him, hence her paying for a part of the Disney trip. I don't know, it's just weird energy. And another thing that gave me weird energy was that his first child with the Vietnamese woman was named Rock, and then he named one of the children he had with Jayan Rocky. But clearly from what we've seen in this entire video, the man is a bit unhinged. He also says on Facebook that he won't be on social media for 18 years for the sake of his kid, and oh, you shouldn't post your kids on social media, which clearly he did not keep up with that first one, and for the second one, he does post kids in his content, so he didn't keep up with that one either. And on the same account that he posts his kids' faces on, he also posts telling stories about his first baby mama and oh, the first night they spent together they couldn't do it because she was on her period, and then the next morning she confessed that she used a giant thing that you can guess to get her off because she was in the mood. If you're disturbed by that, just know that I'm really disturbed by that because I had to hear him say it, and at least you're only hearing me say it to you, not from him. He has an entire multi-part series on it about how his first son got kidnapped, how he met the baby mama through Tinder. He flew her over there because, you know, she was on a different island in Hawaii at the time. He spent the holidays with her and then got her pregnant and then sent her away because he was tired of caring for her. And even though she was like, hey, I'm pregnant, he told her, I don't care if that child is mine. He said he even thought that maybe if he had a child with another woman, he could just forget about this entire thing. It's so self-centered coming from the man who said that he really wanted to have kids, specifically biological kids. And that is the sole reason for his first divorce. And then he thinks he could just impregnate a woman and just forget about her because in his eyes, she's being too needy as a pregnant woman. At some point, while still pregnant, baby mama tells him that she's in California and he's got to fly her to Hawaii if he ever wants a chance at seeing his child. So he flies her over while he's on a separate trip to the Philippines for who knows what passport bros are doing traveling in the Philippines and around and whatever. And he has his ex-wife Mel pick her up from the airport and take care of her. Mel, what are we doing, girl? Really. Now, bro does not end up finishing his series going over the whole story, but we can assume based on the other diggings that people have done and like the website that he had, his baby mama's husband finds out eventually. He's not on the birth certificate because baby mama's married, and because she's married, he's not the legal father, the baby mama's husband is. And baby mama does go back to Vietnam with child and obviously not with Chad2Dad. And not to say that I know this baby mama is 100% a good person and he's definitely the bad guy in this situation, but just the way he tells the stories already shows the amount of entitlement and the attitude that he has. So even though we're supposed to feel sorry for him because the entire story is based on his perspective, I don't feel sorry. So the latest with Chad2Dad is that he and Jayan are staying together and are making things work. She's gonna go to the Philippines with the kids in April this year during her second trimester of pregnancy, and we'll see what happens if there's any more updates. What a messy look into the life and mind of a passport bro. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.